So today we're going to crack open this really fascinating old guide. It's basically a blueprint for taking a local youth group and turning it into this global community. And honestly, this idea of connection feels more important now than ever before. So let's see what we can learn.
Yeah, and this quote, wow. It's from Laszlo Nagy, who used to lead the World Scout organization, and it hits the nail on the head, right? It tells you right away this isn't just about, campfires and tying knots. We're talking about something much, much bigger. A mission to build real, actual bridges between people all over the world.
All right, so let's get into the first big idea. Why does this guide argue that the real adventure isn't just at your local campsite? Well, it all comes down to a pretty big shift in how you look at things. The guide actually asks this question, and it's simple, but it really makes you stop and think. If you're only focused on your own little group, are you missing out? Are you missing something huge? It's framing that local-only experience as, well, a massive missed opportunity.
And that's the whole point, right? This gets to the heart of it. The big goal here isn't just learning how to, start a fire. It's about opening the windows, letting the world in, and really becoming a member of this worldwide family.
Okay, that all sounds amazing in theory. But how do you actually do it? Where do you even start? Well, the cool thing is, this guide lays out a super simple, really clear roadmap for taking that first step. It's just 3 steps, seriously. 1, pick a country. 2, write to one of the international groups. And 3, this is the tough one for pretty much everyone, you gotta be patient.
Now here's a really smart tip from the guide. It says, don't start with individual pen pals. Instead, do group-to-group letters. And when you think about it, this is brilliant. Why? Because you avoid that awful feeling when one person doesn't get a reply. Plus, it's way cheaper on postage, and it makes getting a letter back this huge, exciting event for the whole group to share. Okay, so you've made contact. The letters are flowing. Now comes the really fun part, sharing your world. This is where the friendship stops being just words on paper and becomes something you can, almost touch, something real.
So, what do you put in the box? The guide is really clear about this. Forget the cheesy airport souvenirs. We're talking about sending things that genuinely show who you are and what your life is like. Let's look at some of the cool ideas it has.
First thing, your culture. And I mean, just think about this. Getting a song from another country with the translation so you know what it means, or learning the rules to a game that kids have played for 100 years in their town, that's how you build a real connection.
Then you share nature. And this is so cool. If you're a scout living in the desert, getting a seashell from a place thousands of miles away, that's a treasure. Or what about a recording of birds from a rainforest? It's like a postcard from another planet. You're literally sharing the world that made you.
But this next part is where I think the guide is just genius. It says the most valuable things you can send are the boring, everyday things. A local newspaper, a comic book everyone's reading, even just a picture of your street. Because think about it, that stuff gives you a real look into someone's life in a way a fancy travel guide never could.
Okay, but let's be real, it's not all going to be smooth sailing. And the guide is really upfront about this. It doesn't pretend there aren't some pretty big obstacles that can get in the way of these friendships.
It points out 3 big ones. First, there's the massive distance. Then you've got the cost. Postage isn't free. And finally, the one it says is the biggest problem of all, the language barrier.
And that makes sense, right? How can you build a real friendship if you literally can't understand each other? It also splits your own group up, because maybe only 1 or 2 people speak the other language, and that totally defeats the purpose of doing it as a team. But for every problem, this guide has a solution. And for the language problem, its answer is, it's pretty out there and really fascinating. It's a language that was built from the ground up just for this kind of international communication. It's called Esperanto. The whole idea was to create a second language that belongs to nobody and everybody. It's totally neutral, not tied to any one country. And its #1 rule? Make it simple. And because of that, it's way, way easier to learn than pretty much any other language out there.
So how does it actually work? Well, the best way to think of it is like language Legos. Seriously, you learn a basic root word, and then you just snap on little prefixes and suffixes to change the meaning. So you learn scolto for scout, and you add in to make scoltino, which is girl guide. You learn juna is young, and then you learn that the prefix mal means opposite. So what's old? Maljuna. It's this super logical system that lets you build a huge vocabulary really fast.
So what's the bottom line? It's all about access. There are basically no weird grammar rules to memorize. The spelling is 100% phonetic. What you see is what you say. It means everyone in the group can learn it, so everyone can be part of the conversation. No one gets left out.
So you do all this work, you learn a new language, you send these packages. What's the payoff? Where does it all lead? Well, according to the guide, it's not just about getting a new pen pal. It's about taking an active role in building a better, more understanding world. And I love this quote from the guide. It just sums everything up perfectly. It's saying that the friendships we build today are more powerful than the arguments our ancestors had. It's about looking forward, not back.
And this isn't just about feelings either. These friendships can lead to some amazing real-world results. The guide talks about how a simple letter exchange can grow into a twinning program. That's where two groups become true partners and work together on huge projects, like actually building a school or a dam together. Incredible.
So let's just wrap this up. What are the big takeaways here? First, that scouting is about more than just local stuff. It's about global friendship. Second, that real connection comes from sharing the small, everyday parts of your life. And third, that huge problems, even something like a language barrier, aren't impossible to solve if you're a little creative.
And that kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on, right? We live in an age of instant everything. DMs, video calls, you name it. So what can we learn from this slower, more thoughtful way of making a friend? What's the value in a connection you build one letter, one song, one little piece of your life at a time? Definitely something to think about.